Hi there. It is almost the end of July, and I thought this would be a good time to do a little garden tour. We'll do a little bit of some landscaping because a lot of my hydrangeas are looking really beautiful right now. And then we'll also take a look at the vegetable garden. So let me turn around and show you a few things. So these are Limelight hydrangeas, little limes. So they are a slightly smaller version of the Limelight hydrangeas, which I also have, so I'll show you in a second to give you a comparison. And oh, if I had to do it over again, I think I might just have used this where I've got the Limelights, because they always look so nice. They do still get to be a pretty good height. They're probably between 5 to 6 feet tall. They stay very full. They're very low maintenance. The only thing I need to do is in the earlier spring, give them a little trim, cut out any of the stems that are real wispy or kind of crossing through the middle, and that's it. And they put on a beautiful show like this pretty much every summer. And they'll be pretty like this all the way through till frost, and a little beyond. And then this, not terribly exciting. These are the Wygelias that in the spring had a lot more going on. But then you can see the Limelights behind along this side of the house. And right now they are looking pretty good. When we get to a little bit later and we get some really heavy rains, some of these branches here on the outside, you can see right here that are kind of drooping a little bit. Those blossoms clusters are rather large. Let me show you against my hand for scale. So, like, here's my hand. You can see this is bigger than my hand. And so it gets kind of heavy, and these stems are rather long. So if we get some heavy rains, some of these are going to and drag down to the ground. But right now, they look pretty awesome. Very tall, I would say. Gosh, well, look, this one's almost to the gutter line. So easily 8 to 10 feet tall. And right now, looking really good. Hold on a second. Let me find the next set of hydrangeas. Okay, so both of the Limelight and Little Limes are a type of panicle hydrangea. They can take full sun. They love and they want to be in the sunlight. This is a hydrangea called Twist and Shout, and I can't remember exactly what variety. It might be like in a mountain. I'm not sure. It can take some sun, but this is a part of the house that's on the north side. As you can see, we're in the shade. I don't know if you can tell right now. We're in the shade, but these are a type of bloom called lace cap. So you can see how it's very open. You only have the opened up flowers around the ring of the edge here, and then in the center are just these little teeny tiny, that's as big as these get. They're just these teeny tiny little buds, and I just think it's so pretty. And this is a type of hydrangea where if your soil is acidic, the blooms will be kind of a blue color. If your soil is more alkaline, it will be more of a pink color. So what I do in this area is I will put down something called soil acidifier. I believe I did it in the fall. I can't remember if I did it in the spring. And so when that's in the soil and the roots have absorbed some of it, my blooms will be more in the blue range. But then as that starts to kind of dissipate, and the natural soil where I live is a more alkaline style, I'll get kind of blooms that are kind of a mix. And then eventually, as the season goes along, the blooms will be more like this, where they're just pink. And I think that that is just really cool. And I love seeing that change as we go through the summer. And I really enjoy these. These are one of my favorites. I love the lace cap style bloom, and I really like these hydrangeas. They're called Twist and Shout, and they do want to be more in the shade. They get this area right here gets a little bit of sun, like right through here. That is the direction I'm pointing in, is the south. So we do get sun that's pretty good intensity until about 12:30, 1 o'clock. And I will tell you, these 3 hydrangea shrubs, from about, depending on how bright the sun is and how much cloud cover we have, they get very droopy, or like in the lunchtime range, until that sun gets here behind the porch, and then they just perk right back up. So they would like it if I would give them a little extra water. However, I don't do that. You sink or swim in my flower beds once you're established, and they're swimming just fine. They just get a little dramatic at lunchtime. All right, let's go find another area. All right, up here in what I call my cottage garden, I have several different kinds of hydrangeas, and in this area I did an experiment this year. So I had not up here done a whole lot of true pruning of my hydrangea plants, and these have all been in the ground for about 4 years, so it was a little overdue. And so this year all of these here got a true good pruning. And in this area where I have 2 different kinds, I think this is called Strawberry Sunday, these are Bobos, and that's another Strawberry Sunday. I only deadheaded this one. You can see it's got way more blooms, so that may be what that wants. It's also very full. These 3 Bobos got progressively more pruned. This one I think I just mostly deadheaded. And this one has little buds, but it's not turning into flowers. So I don't know what's going on with this one. This one I actually tried pruning, like I did some other Bobos on the other side, but it also had a section that basically like half the shrub had died. So I snipped that off. It's looking pretty good. It's rebounded nicely. This Strawberry Sunday got a little more pruning. You can see it's still pretty full, but does not have nearly as many blooms. So I'm going to have to do a little more research. They're all panicle style hydrangeas. As you can see, we're in the sunshine. They get full sun pretty much all day. So that has been an interesting result of the different kinds of pruning, because then over here there are 3 Bobos that I did an actual pruning on, and look how nice they look. Especially this one. She's just lovely. Her blooms are all fresh and pretty. And look at this white. It's just adorable. And then these are Pinky Winkies, which I had not been terribly impressed with. They were supposed to be hydrangea shrubs that would get real big and have nice big blooms. Well, this year we finally are seeing that. And what they do, oh, something smells pretty over here. I wonder if it's this. They're a panicle. I'm going to try to be careful because there are quite a few pollinators buzzing around. And as you can see, the top is kind of a creamy white, and then there's kind of a pink on the bottom. And I think that pink eventually starts to come up the bloom. And something over here smells really good. I wonder if it's these Pinky Winkies, if I can get close enough to see. Yep, it's the Pinky Winkies. Oh, I didn't know they had a smell. Anyways, these look lovely compared to last year. Lots more blooms. The shape of the plants is looking really good. And so I'm very happy with the result of my pruning of these this year. This is the best they've looked. And so that just is confirmation that these needed to have been being pruned a little more aggressively than I had been. I had just been doing deadheading. So looking lovely here. And then the other type of hydrangea I have up here is also panicles, and I did kind of a hedge. These are called Little Quick Fires, and I didn't point out, but on the Pinky Winky and on these, so it's a panicle bloom, but it sort of is a much more open, almost lace cap style flower than say on the Bobo or the Limelight. The Limelight and the Bobo have a much tighter flower. These have a very open with lots of little teeny tiny buds and then little open flowers. similar to a lace cap, but just in the shape of a panicle. So I will try to take a picture of these blooms. We'll find one that hasn't gotten quite as pinked up yet as it's aging, and compare that with a Limelight and a Bobo. But just look how pretty they are. So this is actually on purpose a row of little quick fires, so they're not going to get really any bigger than this. So it's a nice kind of like hedge. And then over here, and then I did a couple other types of things here, and then I sort of continued on this side. And these get a little bit more sun than the ones over here do, but you can see there's not much difference in how they look, and they just all look really pretty. So loving the hydrangeas right now. I just have to give a shout out to the redbud, the rising sun redbud. This is the one that I thought was a goner. A deer, a buck in the fall was rubbing its antlers, snapped off the whole canopy. The next year I just hadn't gotten around to taking out the stump yet, because it was fairly immature when that happened, and there were like sprouts almost growing off. They looked almost like suckers, but they were a little bit higher up, and I thought, let's just see what happens. And several of those have grown pretty straight up, and so this fall I'm going to get in there when the leaves come off and try to kind of pinch together and turn it. Right now I'm calling it a redbud shrub, but it's almost as tall as the tree. So I'm going to see if I can take these branches, these stems, and bring them together and make it into like a multi-trunk redbud. So I'm loving how that guy has come back. You can see over here what it should look like. These were planted at the same time, and I just love these trees. The leaves, you have a constant variety of color, because as new ones are coming in, they have those different colors where there's some pink, like a peachy pink, and then a light chartreuse, and then as the leaves mature, they kind of turn into that little bit darker green, and they have a really interesting, almost heart shape to them. It's just a gorgeous tree. Rising sun redbud. So that's just a few things from the garden. We also have a lot of up here pollinators going crazy on some calamint, which is a relative of catmint, but a little bit milder mint fragrance. So still very minty, but a little bit of a less sharp mint. And the pollinators love it, and it just makes a nice full border and around this Royal Raindrops crabapple tree, which is got its red berries on there. So that's going to be gorgeous this winter when the leaves come off. Anyways, there was a very quick landscape tour of the garden late July. I will also do a vegetable garden tour or update. So stay tuned for that. But thanks for joining me here today in the landscape of Aunt Susan's garden.